Welcome back, everybody. And in this video, I'm really just going to talk about everything that's kind of been going on the last couple of months. So, like January and February, how the new year's kind of started, kind of my favorite things that I've either experienced, listened to, watched, the works. Um, I've been extremely disconnected with creating, and I'm not a fan of it. Um, Creating is something that just kind of naturally spills out of me. And I think we're not supposed to have like a super big understanding of why we create or what the need even is to begin with. But I just know that it is essential for my mental health and livelihood and all of the above. And in a way, I've also kind of just missed being able to talk with myself. Um, There's something really healing and helpful that comes with journaling, but there's something also for me that comes really healing with kind of just sitting down and talking out loud, and kind of reminiscing about kind of events or things. And I had this really big urge to make a video like 2 weeks ago. And I didn't do it. I didn't get around to it. And I just figured today I had the time. I even canceled a movie that I was going to go to, and it was going to be a really nice solo date. But I've seen the movie before, and I just realized today is like my only day to really have time with myself. And so I sat down and I really pushed myself to do some genuine writing that I haven't in a while. And I really needed to do that before I did a video just because I needed that calmness and that clarity before I sat down and really talked out loud in the open. Because what we talk about in the open is really fragile and vulnerable. And so that brings us to kind of this moment here. But if you followed along with any of my videos in the past, I was putting out multimedia diaries, and these videos are still going to have a bit of the multimedia factor included, but they're not going to be focused around it. I kind of just want to talk, like, you know. So the period, and kind of how things are working for me a little bit is instead of creating these like monthly playlists that are boxed into from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, I really am just going along with trusting my own personal energy and, really feeling the periods of time as they exist. And so each kind of playlist that I've been building kind of exists within this period of time. Um, and so it starts at that length and kind of ends when I feel like, this period of time is over. The cool thing is that between these periods, life is just like this. The energies kind of carry and marry over during this brief few days. And so sometimes this ending of a period isn't quite the end. The essence might still carry over just a little bit, or sometimes they are a little bit more abrupt. It just depends. You'll understand what I'm talking about in these kind of things. So I'm still giving everything this really poetic title. So these periods of times have a poetry to them, a romantic side to them. Um, and so I'm still creating things, and not to take it away from myself either at the end of the day. Like, I'm still curating playlists. I'm still putting in extra, even more so, attention and intention behind my photography, being present in moments and everything like that. All of that has kind of existed at this constant, and to a point where the constant is now normal and natural. And I really want to have other creation that feels, I guess, more artistic like this, because it's just really normal to me. Um, doesn't feel anymore like I'm creating. This is just a part of me. Like, this is just who I am and what I do. And it's literally spread amongst everything that I've ever done, like anything that I'm ever followed on or platform that I'm on, whatever. Like I'm always creating something new. And I think that's very distracting to people. I think it's very confusing to people. I think it's sometimes confusing to myself that like I release something on this new platform or the way I'm doing something is completely re-envisioned a few months after, and that's just how quickly artists can move. But at the same time, like it's not something that holds something too long either. And sometimes the moment is just right, and sometimes it's not close enough. So yeah, I don't know, that's kind of what it is. um but I want to talk about life a little bit. And in this first period of time, it was really long. We went through this era of what I would like to call transfigured optimism. I titled my playlist this, and this was really a dated period of time from kind of the new year into a little bit of February, a little bit of the early February. Excuse me, kind of felt like this, and it still does. No, it doesn't still feel like transfigured optimism. We're in a different realm. We're in a different realm right now. But transfigured optimism really was. Um, I don't even remember what I originally titled it, but it had this puzzled feeling to it. January is this really strange time where it's been ingrained into our society that it's the new year, and it's really so far from the essence of newness. January is still a time to really be hibernating and reflecting, and February is really that time to start pouring love back into yourself where it should be. And March starts to allow you to kind of pour love outwardly again. And, that spring solstice really is where that new thing starts to come in. And so you really have a couple of weeks throughout the winter where really it is all about just resting and reflecting. And it takes a long time. It really does. You're supposed to, like, I don't know. And at least for me, being a little bit more on the introverted side, I really require this immense length of time to recover and recuperate and re-energize, like completely, like to be able to socialize for the next couple of months. you know and it's crazy because February is such an active month for me every year that it kind of disrupts this like extra hibernation time. Though I will say this winter I was really gifted with a lot of it. Last winter, for some reason, really just was full throttle, and I only had a couple weeks of this. Um, and this is also not to say that like you don't get this balance or this rest and nourishment throughout the year. You do. It has to be balanced and it's in periods, but there is just a natural momentum where you're out and about. You want to do things like it's a really nice day today and I want to go walk outside and be in the breeze and all of that stuff. That's naturally going to put me in a setting where I'm crossing paths with other people. And, regardless of how I interact, energy is being crossed. Like, you know, so it's being aware of this, passing of energy and how you need to protect your energy and all kinds of things like that. So, to get into this period, though, I kind of just want to go through my photos. This is usually what I would do in the past, but I really started the year off kind of with a bang, a quiet bang. Um, Lewis and I went to see the Stranger Things pop up. They're doing a pop up bar. I think it's almost over. Yeah, I think it ended or it's ending this month. But it was this gorgeous bar, like 3 level tier bar, and just They went all out with the decorations. They had so many different scenes set up from the show, and it came out at the perfect time because New Year's Eve was the last, showing of was the last showing of. It was the finale. It was the finale. I'm sorry, I got my words jumbled because I'm seeing 1010 here and 222 over here, and I always just feel very reassured by the sequence of numbers. They, and I've come to this really natural connection with it, just feeling that I am in the exact right place where I'm supposed to be at this given time, doing what I'm doing. So I really appreciate seeing them. Um, but yeah, so the finale was awesome. I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions on it, and at the end of the day, we can have our wishful thinking, we can have our delusions of grandeur, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are hype projecting what their wishes would be for the finale. And it wasn't that, and it wasn't like we got this awful finale of a show. We didn't. We actually had something that was very complete. It might have felt a little bit messy for people towards the end, but it was still a good ending to the show after everything. Um, who died, I feel like, was always meant to die, was always a part of the problem, and was how things ended in the first place. I do think things got a little bit too big and too diluted in certain areas. But the focus was never taken away or wrong or anything like that. I don't know. So, should things appear in the end, it's because the creators will do what they feel is necessary and what feels right. And it feels like that's kind of how they approached this to begin with. So, I'm not upset about it at all. And I've been very honored to feel like a fan and have this completeness. But yeah, so this bar was really awesome. It was very retro. They had games everywhere. And it was just really nice to set the new year in with something that we both really loved. It reminds me about being a nerd about things really just means being so passionate about something and loving something so outwardly, I guess, which is amazing if you think about it. So I'm a nerd when it comes to a lot of different things, as you can see, music, um, films, all kinds of stuff, games. Like I'm really passionate about a lot of different things. Um, and so this fall, it was just very beautiful. It was such a beautiful night. We had so much fun. It was a good way to bring in the new year. Took so many pictures. I will always remember that night. And yeah, obviously have spent a lot of time with my animals more than lately, and I just love them so much. I love what our animals teach us. Um, and I got a lot of spiritual messages in January that I have to really kind of just script for myself at some point, but I think they're all very helpful. I learned a lot of new different things at work. I did some technical things, and I have to always remember how enriching my work actually feels, because it's easy to complain about things, but I'm very grateful for my job. And yeah, it's always a nice um, harboring essence of like education. Like I can learn so much, but it takes a lot of like self motivation to do that, and it's really hard for people with ADHD to have motivation. So there's that. Really big highlight throughout the sequence in Transfigured Optimism was Not for Radio did a amazing show. It was this really beautiful re-rendition of Swan Lake, and I've never seen Swan Lake, so I don't have much to go off of, but it felt very like Black Swan the film, which I also think is an interpretation of that. But Maria really started the show as a white swan, and then at some point dies as the white swan and is reincarnated as this powerful black swan, a true self in a sense. And the album itself, I could sit here and talk about all day. Um, but Melt by Not for Radio, just an absolutely beautifully resonating artistic project. I haven't felt this strongly about a connection with an artist in I don't know how long. But it was at the beautiful Auditorium Theater in Chicago. So it was already very beautiful. I sat very far in the back, but and the tickets went on sale so quick, and the show came like so shortly after. You know, nowadays we have this immense amount of time to, you know, get the tickets and then see the show a couple months later. This was not the case. It was such an intimate tour that it just came so quickly. It was in the winter. She intentionally wanted the show to come out during the time that they made it and played every song on the record, reorganized it a little bit differently, covered Nude by Radiohead. Absolutely perfect. And I need to stop doing that, like genuinely. But and then presented other songs that were new that I absolutely need, but they were just experiencing them raw and hearing the lyrics live. I was brought to tears so many times during the show. I will be writing a think piece about this, so that can be viewed on Substack, and I will attach the link to that. When it is completed, you will have this video before that's completed, so you will have to come back to this, or I will make a post on YouTube somewhere about it when I share that Substack link. But I think that there is just too much for me to express about this night that really can't be wrapped into words vocally like this in this moment. So it will come, but it was a very beautiful show, and it was the first time that I really felt like, wow, the magic of concerts is alive and here, and I'm captured and I'm aware. And, I don't know. It was just fucking amazing. So I really, really loved it. I got this beautiful, beautiful note from Mandy Lee of Mr. Wives, which is not a band anymore, split up, and she is finally doing her solo project, and it is called Cherry Bomb. And so excited for her, but she sent a card. Of course, we had to sign up for a mail listing thing, but got this beautiful card that allowed me to listen to her new song fully a couple days early before it came out. So it was really nice. It was very heartfelt. It made me feel really special, and I don't know Mandy personally like that, but I have followed her career through Mr. Wives for so long. So it feels really new circle. It doesn't feel like a full circle because this just started, but I'm really excited for it. Um, Madison Beer also dropped her album, and that girl just understands heartbreak so much. So I really appreciated her body of work. I still feel like Madison Beer doesn't have a completed artistic outlook just yet. I do think she is on the right trajectory, but I think that she gets a lot of influence from a lot of modern artists. I hear a lot of Sabrina Carpenter, Billie Eilish, and of course Ariana Grande within her work, amongst others. But I don't ever hear Madison's music and be like, oh, that feels like Madison Beer. So it's she's a very beautiful girl. She is very talented, and I think her strongest capability is in her writing. So I would love to get a full project from her that is completely self-written. If she has done that already, I don't know. I think that there's still teamwork behind her very strongly. Um, So I can't wait to see how she continues to grow. But I really, really appreciated Locket as a record outside of her last project, which is really undigestible. And yeah, I don't know. Not to be mean, but these are my 100% opinions. Um, Winter was really strong. I got really sick during this time, which was completely fine. I actually accepted it. I was just like, if there's a time to be sick, it's now. So I was able to be home a bit. Little things about my next artistic project keep finding me, and I'm just letting them trickle as they need to trickle and come. I really just believe that our art projects find us, and we do have to get to them and put our motivation towards them and behind them. But it really takes 100% of that energy and focus one thing at a time. Right, Obi? So, but I'm letting this one be still. This has been proven to me that this is a really big year of rest for me. And so I'm learning what that looks like while being inspired and motivated, and but doing things with a calmness and an ease rather than this major sense of urgency. Everything isn't urgent. We could die literally tomorrow. Like, do you know what I mean? Like any given moment. So why would I want to feel like I was being rushed by myself at the end of the day? You know what I mean? Got a lot of really beautiful snow days, and just helping people and celebrating, and taking good pictures as I can, and just being as aware in the moments as I could. The last thing that really topped off this kind of sequence and period of time was going to this museum. I like to go to art museums every now and then, and I really like the Museum of Contemporary Art a lot in Chicago because they're constantly refreshing their museum exhibits. They are through a pretty good period of time. They're pretty lengthy, but they aren't overshadowing each other at any time. You can always go back and view this art again and have a completely fresh experience. And I like to see art that you can really interact with. And I was just overjoyed with how interactive this exhibit really was. So I want to talk about it a bit. But we went with the intention, my coworkers and I, and it's not so easy to build relationships with your coworkers. Not every person you meet through work is meant to be a friend either. So it's even more important to know kind of that closeness and be in this state of ease, um, when it comes to building that relationship or building a bond further than work. So I really loved who I went with, and I just thought it was very beautiful. It was such a beautiful experience and night and evening. So the only thing I think I wish kind of happened a little bit more was maybe we either got a meal beforehand or after or something. But we all kind of were a little tired and burnt out. This was like in the middle of the week also. So respectfully, we went at a very good time. We got to go earlier than anticipated, and we're just completely shocked by the other exhibits that were there. We went to go see the Yoko Ono exhibit. Beautiful, stunning. Wherever it goes next, go see it. Appreciate that. But it was the other exhibits that really took me by surprise. I did not take as many pictures of these because they're there for a while, but they have this queer installation, and it was really centered around the women that really push forward um, awareness with HIV and AIDS, and all of the production that really pushed the knowledge forward and propelled queerness forward. Like we really owe it all to women. I'm just, women and trans, all it just it's all of us. But I will say, like, yeah, I don't know. But the art around this was so beautiful. I couldn't get enough of it, and I do think that's an exhibit I really need to go and like spend some more time with. The other exhibit was this beautiful work by this woman, and it was just very rich with blue and water and nature. Um, the paintings were just something else, and there was just a lot of texture around everything, and I really appreciated it. Yoko's work as well just really speaks a higher volume than I think most people will ever really fully understand. And I've obviously in art classes and stuff have gone through her work a couple of times, but it was really, really beautiful to see how connected and integrated all of her work really kind of ebbs and flows together. And it's so simple and clean in areas as well at the same time. But that simplicity and cleanness allows for this room of raw vulnerability and moments of uncertainty and uncomfortability at the same time. But it was a very, very beautiful experience. And a lot of her work was extremely interactive, and being able to touch and become a part of that art as well. Can't really be put into words. That day also kind of married a little bit into the next kind of vibe, which will chat about in a second, but I kind of do want to talk about music. Um, with the Not for Radio's show, there was a lot of beautiful jazz before and after, and songs that were played kind of beforehand. So The Eraser really stood out to me by Tom York. In this live aspect, hearing that song specifically in the auditorium being echoed really transfigured that song. It doesn't sound the same when I listen to it on streaming or anything like that. I really have to experience it live and in the moment to really feel the full height of this song. It's still fucking amazing, and I threw it on my playlist, but it really was something else. I had a lot of music that also refound me. It's less this year because my focus with music, if you ever checked out my Control Alt Delete method of music listening, has kind of reached a full balance. It's also completely autonomous at this point, where I can listen to music and pull from things that have already existed, while kind of cleaning out things that no longer resonate and exploring things that feel new and gravitating towards me. It all exists in the sameness. Maybe in the future there will be areas where like I go back and like really stop exploring for a little bit of time and focus on one thing more than the other. But right now it's in this really beautiful state of balance, and I want to keep it that way. Um, Harry Styles released Aperture, but I think we can talk about that a little bit more later. I was really connecting with Slow Dive's work. So I listened to Sovlaki, the record, and a good strong like 4 or 5 songs really resonated with me. So I'm enjoying my time with them right now. I'll Change for You by Mitski came out as well, and that is just a highly personal track that like feels like word for word means something for me right now. So I'm not at a place where I want to talk about it yet, but a very, very beautiful song. Listen to it. Same thing with Reflector by Arcade Fire. If you listen to Arcade Fire, you definitely know this song. It is one of more of their, I would say, well known songs, but like I really listened to it and really resonated with it this month. The only artist that kind of throughout this period that their record really felt like something was Puma Blues Croak Dream. This kind of is a little fits a little bit more into sequence 2. So we'll talk about him a little bit more there. But Puma Blue, this song Croak Dream found me and really meant a lot during Transfigured Optimism. Um, Mirrors by Whitelands also really complements the whole reflector motive by Arcade Fire, but that song itself also really resonated strongly with me. And finally found this artist found me as well. They're called Swords, but this singular song really resonated and has a lot more elements of dance, but it's the lyrics that really struck me. And so in this time period, I was really kind of reconnecting with movement within us. Movement really helps expel these energies that trap within us, And so dancing is really important. And I find this beautiful balance between heartbreaking lyrics and um, sonic dancing that really helps me move but feel related to this work. And I feel like the heart of Transfigured Optimism was this song called Threads by Emmett Fenn. And this also really just kind of found me and stumbled upon me. But that is a song that speaks everything, everything, everything. And so if you want to take any kind of, songs or anything from here, these are my recommendations. Lead Letters by Teeth, The Bug by Crumb, um, Undercurrent by Perfume. Genius was really towards the end, and it's also called Clean Heart at the same time. Felt very fresh, clean slate, simplified, truth. And I ended it with this very gorgeous ambient track called Galaxy Builder, and that's exactly how it feels. It just feels like it's building this world around this galaxy, and it's just very positive, and it's meant to be where it ends. Like you're ending on this extremely positive note. Because for someone like me, I really strive for constant positivity, even though my brain does the complete opposite and lets me overthink into so many negative situations or perspectives. So, yeah, that's kind of Transfigured Optimism. But I do want to continue chatting about Sequence 2. Sequence 2 is the next thing that really kind of carried from Transfigured Optimism. And I genuinely named it Sequence 2 because it was going to be a standing title. And it felt like something that was just the next part of this. And then it just completely transformed into something else. I also had way more certainty around this sequence, being, you know, something that I knew was going to be very short lived, short experienced. And it was this almost burst from that optimism that really gave me this sense of clarity that I didn't have during Transfigured Optimism. The whole essence around the transfiguration thing was that, like, it was a constant puzzle, it was a constant shuffling. It was, does this piece go here or does it go here? But at the end of the day, the big picture is optimistic. And Sequence 2 really just felt like this blank period of continuum, and at the same time transformed itself into its own essence of thing. So this period also existed by itself, which, sorry, just got to go through my photos because we're gonna, go through moments in this little sequence as well. Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, so carrying over from kind of that, from Transfigured Optimism, I started to kind of have a little bit more appreciation with green again. Everything we need green around us all the time. I don't fucking care what it takes. Have green around you and protect the green around you. So that reminds me, tomorrow is my day to flower my plants, and I will be doing, not flower, water my plants, and I will be doing that. But I was noticing a lot of the plants at work. I do have consistency around, and there's so many plants that are just sprouting. There are plants that are starting to grow flowers that I didn't even realize can grow flowers. And it just really was reflective of a lot of hard work where I put it. And so I want to be able to see that in other places, not just my vocation. Always appreciating pets. I had this crazy experience during this sequence. But on February 13th, I was going home, and I like to every once in a while take a different route home than I did before. Most of the time, I do take the same route home, and I didn't. I went to go to the train, and I've been avoiding it because the main train station I transfer at is being worked on for the next 3 years. So it does create a slight delay. But it didn't bother me this day. I took the train, I transferred. As soon as the train pulls up, there's this massive spark, bright light, and this loud bang right in front of me. It was behind the train, and I assumed that something from the train sparked or a wire exploded, something. But the station that I was in completely fogged up with smoke. I left right away. I was like, I'm not getting on this train. I don't care what it takes. I need to find another way home. So I did. I waited like 20 minutes for this next bus that takes me all the way home. It's a longer walk from the lake to my house where I live. But I trusted that I did not want to get on this train. Everybody got off. It was bad vibes all around. Nothing should explode like that. There was no news about why this happened, what even happened. It almost felt like maybe someone threw a firework off inside the train because it smelled like that. But a lot of people vividly remember seeing it outside of the train. So I don't know, but it was kind of crazy. So I just wanted to talk about that. Um, During this sequence, it was also my birthday. So I'm officially 29, and while I've felt the onset of my Saturn's return for the last 2 years, I really think it might begin for me around this time, or this is my last year really kind of feeling the onset of it. If it is the start, then I am just prepared for everything that comes with the beautiful transformation within a Saturn's return. And maybe I grew up or like prepared myself and it took away some of my youth or whatever, but I've always kind of been like that, like very naturally older than I should be, allowing myself. But yeah, I'm also ready to fully like let my playful side just exist at all times during all of this as well. And I think that's a beautiful part of it. Um, so me and Lewis also kind of celebrated my birthday is back to back with Valentine's Day, and so we went out to a game room, and it gets you really active. I went to this ramen noodle spot that is really Godzilla inspired, and this is another one of those nerd areas. I love Godzilla. He's a big dinosaur lizard. How can you not love him? Um, and we had just caught up with watching the first season of um, the MonsterVerse. What is it called? Monarch. Really, really good season, but it's the second season that drew me captive because they have a water monster now kind of existing in this world. Um, and so it really pushed me to watch the rest of it because I had only ever seen the first episode. But I thought it was really cute and wholesome for us to go to this restaurant. You go inside, it looks like an alley in Tokyo or Japan, and the fucking food is absolutely delicious. So it was just really nice to go out and hang out. We don't really do this too often. We're always at home. And so it was just really nice to go out and hang out and do something new and just feel really kind of alive together in the city. So I really appreciated our few days together like that. Um, I enjoyed my birthday. I went out to eat with my family. I hung out with my friends and did a couple of different separate dinners kind of throughout the week, and it was just really nice. Um, it was just very, very beautiful. I really, really felt celebrated and really took in those intimate moments with each people. And I just really, I think that really went a lot more of a long way than like trying to throw this massive party and bringing all these people together. Everybody doesn't get along and things shift all the fucking time. So, yeah. It was a pretty big awareness of people who made the effort to do something or reach out versus kind of not really participate around me this year. I don't know. Very, very, very interesting. Um, but yeah, I mean, that kind of completed that sequence. Again, it was really intimate, and I really liked it being that. And so this sequence, I did write a little bit something about it, but it existed between February 12th and 24th. So it was this very short 12-day period But I did listen to a lot of music in this time. My playlist was even really short. I really wanted that to um, be, all exist in the sameness. The period felt short. The playlist needed to be short. Photography as well, all of that. But I loved this photo, and I really refined it to look like this painting. It does. It looks like a painting of different layers of light kind of blending within each other. And I really love this picture more than anything. Sequence 2 was originally a different photo that I moved over for the next vibe that I'm currently existing in. Um, and I didn't realize this kind of captured itself without even realizing it. And it just plays with these shadows. And I don't know, I really, really, really love this photo. Um, but yeah, so I wrote that I knew something about this period what was going to be certainly short. And it felt like an extension of what was drawn from Transfigured Optimism, that last sequence. It resides in here, but this is from a completely new perspective. Something new really had begun within this sequence. It's short and sweet. That being short and sweet reflects how deeply my mind ventured in this duration. So things transform, and clarity assumes that it's safe to fully rise. Keyword on assumes. Um, but this is where I really, really dove into Puma Blue's record, Croak Dream, and listen to this track, Mr. Lost. It's just this very romantically poetic kind of conversation. And so that's kind of what started this playlist. And I kept a bit of this dance aspect, but this darker, richer aspect is kind of there. You get it with a bit of A.G. Cook's production, a bit of the Wuthering Heights soundtrack, and some continued things that were pulled from Whiteland's project Sunlight Echoes, where we listened to Mirrors. But the song I Am No God, I'm an Effigy really came up, and effigy is this almost copy of a god or a mimic of a god. You're not a god. We as humans are not gods, but we are of essence of God-like natures. And if you're in tune with yourself like that, you could have that feeling of godliness. And we should treat ourselves like we would treat whatever God we believe in. Cocoons really speaks to that silk aspect. If you know, you know. Um, again, Embraced by Pastel Ghost came up for me, found me. So there's this like dance element here that really marries with ambience. A lot of poetry in this as well, with Perfume and Milk by Florence, Tinker Tailor Soldier by Radiohead, and this other song really found me. I knew it would, but this song called Television by Night Tames found me a couple of months ago. And I was like, oh, maybe I should give it a listen. And I really didn't appreciate her voice at the time. It's really high pitched. But a video came up for me, and this is something I don't do often. And it's something I've wanted to do on the channel for a long time. So maybe I will soon. But I don't go into people's aesthetics before I really listen to their sound, because I don't want their aesthetics to diminish how I view them or look at them. Because um, now that I'm talking about this, it's interesting. It happened to me with this band, Blue October. And when I was a kid, I really had this vision of what the singer looked like. And then when I got into their image, it was completely different than what I expected. I still listen to Blue October, but at the time it diminished my passion to keeping up with their records. I've gotten back into Blue October more strongly as a fan in the last few years than I did from that like decade of time where I didn't listen to their music. So there's a couple of projects that like I've completely missed, but their last few records have been absolutely astounding. Um, Nothing touches the nostalgia of Fate Foiled though, like 100%. Um, but now that I'm talking about it, it's a good example of Night Tapes. Night Tapes literally came on Shuffle, their video, and I was just blown away by like 2 or 3 of their projects. And so the video for Storm really came up, and it really highlighted the essence of what their project Portals and Polarities was. And I was just like, wow, this is where this cover comes from. The album, everything makes sense. It's all circulated, and so they are extremely in tune. But so that song found me, and it's building slowly. But yeah, that one, Temples is releasing. They put out Jetstream Heart. It's like that psychedelic alternative that really makes me feel passionate about music in the first place. So much fun. Um, and Neighborhood released their deluxe, and I put Bed on here as truth to the mirror that is me being my own worst villain, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of what exists here in sequence 2. I would love if you guys wanted to check out the playlists. I'm not literally going to sit here and play everything anymore because these things feel like artistic bodies of work that I put together that really explain a diaristic aspect that I cannot vocalized through song. So it's more important to be listened to rather than heard. The links for them will be below for both Transfigured Optimism and Sequence 2. Should you want to listen to them, they can be listened to separately or together, however it resonates. Um, if you want a Spotify version of this, I guess I'll put it on there. But I really listen to everything through Apple just because the quality of Sonics is better through Apple, through Dolby Atmos. You get all of the little tidbits here and there. You don't get that on Spotify. I'm sorry, you don't get this on Spotify. Spotify's strength lies in recommending things for you. And actually, I can't speak on that because I don't listen to recommended music from Spotify anymore. I don't. I really don't. But I do make an effort to convert my playlists through there so that people can enjoy them as well. But yeah, that's kind of everything I wanted to talk about. Up until like close to the ending of February, we started a really new chapter and energy that we're still living in, and it's got this kind of still flow. Like um, the winds are almost stuck in a way, is the best way that I can describe this current period. So it's not quite over, and maybe it hasn't quite even begun. Who knows? But that's kind of everything I wanted to talk about today. So I hope everyone has a beautiful day, beautiful period of time. And I'm, for myself, going to be uploading my past videos that I never did upload. Um, and I really just need to let go of like things need to come out at a certain time. And I really put a lot of pressure on myself to get a video done. And I have like the last 6 videos that I meant to put out from last year, but editing really feels and felt overwhelming. And I just need to get myself at a place where I'm not overwhelming myself by the things I want to create or want to do. I think there's an inevitability that comes with it at some point, but honestly, just by doing and starting is kind of like the place to be. So that's kind of what this video exists as. So yeah, I'm sending everybody as much love as I possibly can. I know there's a lot more important things going on in the world. There's a lot of heavy things going on in the world, no matter where you are, or what sources you're getting your information from, or anything like that. But we all have to be kind of holding each other together, like being human and on the right side of things is more important than ever. So I send everyone love. And with that,